Joshua reflected in that fight the absence of desire that has now crippled his career.
I don't care what AJ or Eddie's saying. The risk is far too high, the reward is far too low.
You know, you could argue, you know, maybe he's past his best, but...
If you have to bet,
Yes.
I say Canelo by decision.
Crawford by decision.
He just win one big fight.
Anthony Joshua's former trainer, Rob McCracken, weighed in on the doubts surrounding the boxer's future, highlighting the nature of heavyweight boxing, where immense power often leads to setbacks such as the defeat against Daniel Dubois. He pointed out that most heavyweights, barring a select few, face knockouts during their careers due to the sheer force and size of their opponents. However, he expressed confidence that Joshua could recover, noting that learning from mistakes and making adjustments is key to avoiding similar outcomes. He dismissed the stigma surrounding losses, stating that history has shown that many heavyweights have rebounded from defeats to reclaim world titles, and Joshua's path could follow a similar trajectory. He stated, anything is possible in the sport of heavyweight boxing. It's like rolling the dice.
Much like Fraser, it's heavyweight boxing, isn't it? And, you know, the huge guys, they generate huge force and power. All heavyweights get knocked out at some point or other, barring, you know, very, very few. So, yeah. Listen, if you know, it's just a fight, isn't it? And if you learn from it and you come back and correct the mistakes, you know, you can avoid it happening again. But you know, lots of heavyweights have been knocked out and come back and won world titles. So
Rob acknowledged the challenge of forming a definitive opinion about Anthony Joshua's current situation, emphasizing that his perspective is limited since he has not experienced it by being on his side. He reflected on the demanding nature of professional boxing, noting that success in the sport often hinges on the relationships and trust built with others. While these relationships work well when things are going smoothly, the sport gets much harder the longer you do it, especially after achieving success.
you know what? It's just difficult for me to have an opinion because I've not been there. But what, in my opinion, professional boxing is about the relationships you build and you have with people. And you know, while they're working, it's fine. But you know, that's what you got to do. It's more about, you know, a relationship, trust, and you know, you can get the best out of them. But you know, professional boxing is hard when you do it for a long time.
Although he admitted uncertainty about Joshua's personal routines and lifestyle, Rob expressed confidence in Joshua's dedication, pointing out that he spends most of his days in the gym, consistently honing his craft. He stated, he'll know what to do, he's sensible enough, he'll make the right decisions.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not anti-Joshua. I don't know, you know, what he does and how he lives his life, but you know, I'm pretty sure he'll be training all the time because that's what he does. He's in the gym most days.
Anthony Joshua's ex-trainer expressed that if Joshua continues boxing or decides to step away, either choice would be understandable. However, he noted that Joshua will continue his career, as knockouts are a common part of heavyweight boxing. Rob pointed out that while a knockout can be a tough and often discouraging experience, history has shown many heavyweights who have come back stronger, surprising everyone with their resilience and determination. Every fighter deserves the chance to rebound and prove what they're capable of achieving.
He'll know what to do. He's sensible enough and he'll make the right decisions. If he's to continue, it's fine, and if he's not to continue, then that's fine as well. But I would have thought he'll carry on boxing because, you know, everyone gets knocked out in heavyweight boxing. I know it's not always great and it looks bad, but you know, how many fighters have we seen get knocked out in heavyweight title fights and then just come back and surprise people? So you always deserve the chance to come back.
Rob acknowledged and stated that age plays a significant role in a boxer's career. While it's different when you're older and past your prime, you could argue that Anthony Joshua might have passed his best. However, he also acknowledged Daniel Dubois as a phenomenal puncher, pointing out that Dubois was already known for his punching power when he was just 17 years old. Rob emphasized that if Dubois catches anyone clean, he's capable of knocking them out, underscoring the danger he presents in the ring. McCracken stated, there is absolutely no shame in getting knocked out by Daniel Dubois. He is a top fighter. He has a great jab also. He's powerful like you can't believe.
You know, it's different when you're really old and you're past your best and that, and you know, you could argue, you know, maybe he's past his best, but at the same time, I think Daniel Dubois is a phenomenal puncher. he was a phenomenal puncher when he was 17 years old. So, if Daniel Dubois catches anybody clean, he'll knock them out.
Rob believes that a potential matchup between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder would be the right choice if Joshua decides to continue his career. But he sees it as a sensible decision, emphasizing that if a boxer is determined to continue, they should focus on taking the fights they believe are best for them, while others may have opinions on what he should or shouldn't do. Rob stressed that the ultimately decision lies with the fighter. Rob highlighted that as an experienced athlete, Joshua knows his strengths and weaknesses and must make the choices that are best for his career. McCracken stated, "You gotta be careful. You gotta pick the right opponents at the right time so you can progress and perform."
I think just the sensible route. If you're going to box on, just take the right fights that you think are right for you. It's all right other people saying what you should and shouldn't do, but ultimately you got to decide yourself. If you're an experienced fighter, you know what you're doing. You got to make the right decisions.
Rob expressed that it would be a disappointment if Tyson Fury decides to finalize his retirement without ever returning to face Anthony Joshua, noting that the fight has been building for years. However, he acknowledged the physical toll that boxing takes on these fighters, particularly heavyweights and the big guys, who endure immense strain during their training camps. Rob pointed out that the longevity of a fighter's career largely depends on how well their body holds up and how they feel physically. Ultimately, it is these factors that determine whether a boxer continues to compete and for how long they stay in the sport.
Yeah, it'd be a shame. I think obviously the fight's been built up for years, but listen, they're big guys. They've put their body through so much over the years. Them training camps for huge people are not easy, and it's just how good they feel and how their body's holding up, and that dictates what they do, how long they stay in the sport.
Boxing promoter Turki Alalshikh expressed his desire to see a matchup between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder if Tyson Fury does not return to the ring. He questioned why the fight between Joshua and Wilder should not happen now, emphasizing that it would be a compelling and exciting clash in the heavyweight division.
I want to see Joshua and Wilder now. If Tyson is not available, why not Joshua and Wilder?
Great fight.
Joshua against Wilder.
Simon Jordan, speaking on TalkSport Boxing, shared his perspective on potential opponents for Anthony Joshua. While he acknowledged the appeal of a fight between Joshua and Deontay Wilder, he expressed a stronger interest in seeing Joshua face Martin Bakole. Jordan emphasized that a matchup with Bakole would bring genuine stakes and excitement, adding an element of unpredictability. He humorously mentioned a bet with Spencer Oliver, joking about not losing his bet on this bout, but stressed that he would prefer to see Joshua fight someone who is advancing in their career and currently in form, rather than focusing solely on legacy bouts.
Yeah, I can understand why people would want to see it. I mean, I'd like to see Joshua fight someone like Bakole. I think there's real jeopardy in that fight. I know we've got a bet on that, Spencer, and I don't want to lose that bet, but I'd like to see Joshua fighting someone that was at the front of their career.
Turki Alalshikh responded by revealing that a bout has already been finalized for Martin Bakole against Nigerian professional boxer Efe Ajagba, explaining that this fight is an IBF mandatory and must take place first. He added that after this bout, they would be open to considering a matchup between Anthony Joshua and Bakole. Turki also shared his personal enthusiasm for seeing Joshua face Bakole, expressing a strong preference for the fight to take place in Africa.
Yeah, we finished the deal with Bakole against the Nigerian fighters, Gogba or something like this.
Ajagba, yeah.
Ajagba, yes, we finished it. They must do it because it is mandatory for the IBF.
For the IBF,
Then, after that, we are open to see Joshua also against Bakole. I want to see this fight, right? I want to see it, but you know where I want to see it?
In Africa.
I want to see it in Africa, yeah.
British former professional boxer Johnny Nelson shared his thoughts on a potential Anthony Joshua versus Martin Bakole matchup, arguing that the risk-to-reward ratio does not make sense. He dismissed claims from Joshua and promoter Eddie Hearn about being open to the fight, stating that the risk is far too high while the reward is too low. Nelson added that if Joshua and his team are still holding out hope for a future fight with Tyson Fury, they need to be mindful and strategic about who Joshua faces in the meantime.
Risk reward, it doesn't weigh up. I don't care what AJ or Eddie's saying. The risk is far too high, the reward is far too low. And even though they're saying we'll take it here, whoever Anthony Joshua boxes, if they're still hoping upon hope of this fight with Tyson Fury comes to fruition, he needs to be mindful and careful who he
American sports commentator and news anchor Jim Lampley weighed in on the possibility of an Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury fight, suggesting that the matchup is likely to happen because money talks. He emphasized that the fight's likelihood depends largely on how much the Saudi backers are willing to invest in making it a reality. However, Lampley noted that both fighters are no longer at the peak of their careers, describing the potential bout as old news in terms of its significance compared to their primes. He added, "I am just happy that I was seated at the ringside in Wembley Stadium for Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko, what my beloved colleague Max Kellerman called the greatest sports event we ever saw."
Probably. Money talks. It all depends on how much money the Saudis want to fork over for that. But I think at the end of the day, that's old news. Neither of them is anywhere close to what they were at their peak.
Jim Lampley shared his thoughts on a potential fight between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, stating that while he would watch the bout, it doesn't evoke the same level of excitement it might have generated a few years ago. He pointed out that both fighters have seen better days.
I'll watch it. But does that constitute real interest? I'm sorry, it's nothing compared to what it might have been a few years ago. They've both seen better days.
In addition, he stated Joshua's performance against Daniel Dubois was particularly disappointing. Lampley described how Dubois dominated and humiliated Joshua in that fight, a scenario he had not expected to see. He further suggested that Joshua's performance reflected a lack of desire, which in his view has significantly impacted the trajectory of Joshua's career, he stated. Joshua wasn't even in the fight against Dubois.
Dubois toyed with him, humiliated him. And I would not have expected to see that, but again, Foreman said it. Once you're sleeping on silk or satin sheets, it's pretty hard to tell yourself that you're hungry and that you need to spend yet another hour in the gym. I think that Joshua reflected in that fight the absence of desire that has now crippled his career.
While the heavyweight division continues to dominate headlines with speculation, the spotlight also shines brightly on two pound-for-pound stars, Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Their accomplishments and future matchups offer just as much intrigue, showcasing the depth of talent across the sport. Mexican-American former professional boxer and trainer Robert Garcia weighed in on the potential Canelo versus Crawford fight, offering his perspective on how the bout might play out. Garcia advised that if fans are considering placing a bet, Canelo by decision would be the safest choice. His assessment reflects confidence in Canelo's ability to outbox opponents over the distance, showcasing his technical skills and experience in high-stakes matchups.
Crawford by decision. And you have to bet.
Yes.
I say Canelo by decision. Crawford by decision.
Robert Garcia has consistently expressed confidence in Canelo Alvarez winning a potential bout against Terence Crawford, citing Canelo's strength, power, and natural size advantage as decisive factors. However, Garcia also acknowledged Crawford's exceptional skill set, noting that he wouldn't be surprised if Crawford managed to outbox, outsmart, and outwork Canelo to secure a victory. His balanced perspective highlights the intriguing clash of styles and attributes that would make this matchup a fascinating contest.
Crawford is gangster. I've always been saying, I think Canelo at the end, obviously his strength, his weight, experience probably takes over. But shit, I wouldn't be surprised if Crawford just boxes and fights smart and beats him.
Robert Garcia predicted that a potential fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford would be closely contested, estimating the odds to fall somewhere between 3-1 or 4-1 in favor of Alvarez. He emphasized, however, that he does not foresee a knockout in the fight.
It's going to be close.
Three-way class?
Maybe 3-4-1, ¿no crees?
No.
It's not going to be that big of a difference. No.
When you picked the knockout?
No.
CEO of Top Rank Bob Arum emphasized that he would never count Terence Crawford out of any fight, praising the boxer's unique talent. Arum described Crawford as a great boxer with knockout power, but also highlighted his ambidextrous ability, which makes him even more unpredictable in the ring. He explained that Crawford's ability to switch seamlessly between orthodox and southpaw stances confounds his opponents, who typically train to face a right-handed fighter, only to find themselves dealing with a southpaw. This versatility, according to Arum, is a key factor in Crawford's success and effectiveness.
Well, I wouldn't count Crawford out in any fight because Crawford has a unique talent. He's a great boxer puncher, and he is totally ambidextrous. So he drives his opponent crazy because the opponent trains to fight a right-handed fighter and ends up fighting a southpaw.
Canelo Alvarez expressed respect for Terence Crawford, acknowledging him as a very talented fighter. However, he pointed out that while Crawford's victory over Errol Spence Jr. was a significant achievement, he has not faced opponents of that caliber on a consistent basis. Canelo emphasized that while Crawford is undoubtedly skilled, the challenge of facing someone like Spence is a rare occurrence in his career. Canelo stated he did a really good job with Spence, like almost looked very easy.
Like I always say, I respect Terence Crawford. He's a very talented fighter, but he just win one big fight. If you see his record, he just beat one good fighter like Errol Spence is.
Yes.
But other than that, I don't think he's beating other great fighter like Spence.
Terence Crawford responded to Canelo Alvarez's remarks by calling the comparisons unfair. He pointed out that while people suggest he might struggle moving up in weight, Canelo himself had gone up in weight and lost, highlighting the difference between their experiences. Crawford emphasized that unlike Canelo, who lost in higher weight classes, he moved up and won. He urged Canelo not to draw comparisons on this issue, suggesting that the two situations are not the same.
And it's crazy because, you know, they talk all the crazy stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. You know, so let's not do that, Canelo.
Showbiz the Adult addressed Terence Crawford's weight argument, stating that it does not hold much weight, especially considering Canelo Alvarez's history. He pointed out that Canelo moved up in weight and won a significant fight against Sergey Kovalev. Then he moved up again and lost to Dmitry Bivol, a dominant force in the division.
I don't think it was a strong point because Canelo Alvarez actually moved up and won. I mean, he moved up a lot of weight classes, but if you want to talk about light heavyweight, he moved up and he beat Kovalev. He knocked Kovalev out the first time he moved up. Then he moved up again, and he lost to Bivol.
Moreover, Showbiz the Adult has consistently highlighted the differences in the weight classes and opponents faced by Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. He pointed out that while Crawford moved up to 154 pounds and secured a victory over Israel Madrimov, a fighter he believes lacks a significant resume, Showbiz emphasizes that these contrasting experiences make direct comparisons between the two fighters' weight class transitions and their respective challenges less straightforward.
Terence Crawford, on the other hand, he moves up to 154. He won 115, 113, but it was against an 11-0 Madrimov who didn't really have much of a resume. So, I mean, it's just different. Let's be honest, Madrimov, you can't really name who's his biggest win.
American sports writer Dan Rafael shared his thoughts on the size difference between fighters, explaining that it's not just about their physical dimensions. He highlighted that Canelo Alvarez has spent years facing super middleweights and even fought in the light heavyweight division, where he was outboxed by Dmitry Bivol. Rafael pointed out that despite the loss, Bivol didn't physically damage Canelo, and Alvarez has taken many tough shots throughout his career. In contrast, Crawford has never faced an opponent of the size and strength of a legitimate super middleweight.
Think about size difference between fighters. It's not so much necessarily what their physical dimensions are. It's Canelo has spent years being hit by super middleweights. He's even fought fights in the light heavyweight division and scored a knockout against Kovalev. And even though he didn't beat Bivol, it's not like he got, physically beat up or anything. He got outboxed to a degree, but it was not a physically damaging kind of fight. So he's taken those shots.
That's all for this video. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay up to date with all things boxing and MMA, make sure to hit that subscribe button with a jab and smash the bell icon with a cross so you never miss a beat. Share this with a fellow boxing fan and do not forget to hit that like button. We'll see you in the next exciting update.